Yeah, I agree.
Yeah? Okay.
Grace is cute. She's charming.
Well, yes, and that was a very interesting dynamic. So we started off with the coupling that went on day one when they entered into Big Mama's house, and then finally entered into the recoupling that set the stage for some interesting drama. Now, let me start it off with Komla. What was your initial impression with the original pairs?
Okay, so the expectation generally was for them to give us the drama,
Yes.
the confrontations,
Yes.
the betrayals,
Yes.
etc. And so, beginning the show, you are expecting that from the off. Like you want to see a lot of
Yeah,
things
yeah,
happening
yeah.
left, right, and center. I must say, in the first week, we saw a few things. Some of the couples gave us something to smile about. In fact, in the first week, one of the couples or some of the couples showed the way. If I say show the way, I'll give you an example, Ali and Ruth.
Yes.
They dared to do stuff that the other couples
They
were
were very
almost like,
affectionate, yeah.
they were shying away from. But once Ruth and Ali started something, we saw the previous or the continuing weeks, all the other housemates were
Couples, yeah.
also, getting into it. So I think that the expectation generally was to see a reflection of what happens in real life play out in the house, which is what we have seen so far. And it started from the first week.
I like that. Let me come to you, Malice, or Malice. Your initial idea or when you, observations really, when you saw the original pairing, did you instantly go, yes, that's a winning thing? Or when the recoupling happened, that's when you realized that the dynamic had changed?
So from the get-go,
Yeah.
I actually loved the original pairing until the first week in the house came to a climax, and I was like, no. Then if things are going to go like this, we need a recoupling.
Okay.
So the Sunday, then the recouple. I mean, all of us were rooting for the recoupling because the drama we're getting from the house was just too much. And we were like, okay, if this is going to be a problem, then let's recouple. So everyone moves with the pair he or she likes. And I think that actually even
Changed
brought
up.
more drama to the house. And yes, yeah, basically.
Okay. Now, Lady Reverenda, you actually got an opportunity to speak to them in the first week. You got to meet them, to observe their interactions. What were your biggest observations when you met the couples, the original couples?
Right. So when I met the original couple, I was actually supposed to teach them on bonding, but for some reason I changed and taught them about love and expectation to give them a clear idea that if what you are with is not what really you want to be for the next 9 months, you can switch to be able to gain the kind of expectation that you want. So by the time they began to recouple, I'm like, oh yeah, it worked. You just had to draw their attention on some things that you're expecting from a partner. So they could just look at the person that they were coupled with and like, no, this is not the person I want to journey with. So when I saw them recoupling, I thought that that's a good one for us to start with.
Thank you for that. But did you initially feel that maybe in some of the two couples that generally sort of set it off with the recoupling, Jato, Sandra, Bebelino, Grace, that their chemistry was not working out initially?
No, no.
Okay.
I just, chemistry works in different ways. Some take off as fast, some take time. I just knew that it was just to let them know that we've got 9 weeks to build a perfect match, love. And so you don't just run off. Some can just run off, but others will take it slow day by day. So to those who never change their partners, I felt they were okay. To those who changed, I felt that was also okay.
All righty, I like that. Now, Kukwa, you observing from the get-go and seeing the original parents, what were your initial observations?
For me, I honestly knew that there were going to be troubles. Yes, from beginning. From the day they came on stage, I knew there were going to be troubles.
How
so I
so?
wasn't surprised they had to change partners.
Okay.
From the beginning, from the intro, you could see like the connection wasn't there.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't there from beginning. I'm surprised you guys didn't see it. It wasn't there. So I wasn't surprised. So from beginning, I knew there were going to be trouble.
Okay, okay. Now, we did the recoupling, and Jato, Sandra became an alliance. Then we had Bebelino and Grace. And Bebelino and Grace sort of set off like a house on fire. they instantly drew to each other. They actually started to build something. But then it seemed, at least from some of the housemates' observation, that Sandra was generally looking into that relationship. Was it something that you observed watching, Kwamila?
From a viewer's point of view, you could get that sense because the things that played out after the recoupling, the little conversations that were happening between Jato and Sandra, between Sandra and Bebelino, alone, you could sense that maybe she was not completely off him. That's a sense you get. But then again, you get the sense that she now feels like Jato is the new person she wants to be with, or she would rather stick with him. But occasionally you will find that she was poking and trying to get into Bebelino's affairs with Grace. And I thought it also sparked a lot of agitations and confrontations subsequently.
Were we just reading too much meaning into it, Kukwa? Was it that we were the ones thinking, maybe she was just genuinely observing someone that has left? Like,
Or concerned, concerned about.
I mean, it's only right that if I think it's not working between us and you start working out with someone else, it's all right for me to just drop in and show some concern, is it not?
I don't see it that way.
Okay.
You see, sometimes you can be in a relationship, but you see other couples and you're like, I wish this was my relationship. Not being with that person, but you feel that connection there was in your relationship. That's how I saw it. That she wasn't jealous, she wasn't really into Bebelino, but she wished that kind of connection was in her relationship. That was how I saw it.
Did you see that, Simon?
Exactly what Kukwa said.
Okay.
So I felt like she wasn't jealous. I mean, this is someone who said she wants to move from Bebelino and pair with Jato on stage.
Yeah.
So I don't see it as jealousy. I saw it like, okay, I think they are bonding so well. How I wish
that was
my relationship.
But not with Bebelino, but rather with Jato.
Yes.
Okay. But it seems that there was a lot of friction between the ladies. So maybe her looking in and sort of saying, oh, I wish this was me. Grace sort of misinterpreted that to seem like you're not off him and then you're trying to interfere.
So I think it's everyone in their understanding. Grace in the house might have seen it as jealousy, but to some of us, we don't see it as maybe Sandra would have to explain why she was all over Bebelino even after the recoupling. So yeah, I think she will be seeing it as jealousy, but for me...
Now, Reverend, Lady Reverend Ada, they've made some observations about how it would seem that from their viewer perspective, Sandra was just generally thinking, maybe I wanted that chemistry in my relationship. Is it from your professional perspective something that was actually happening?
No, I think that what was happening is that Sandra thought she deserved that chance. She thought that, okay, so if I could have given it one more try, what if we had tried it? It could have worked just the same way Grace and Bebelino is working. She went off the cliff so quick. And this happened to a lot of us because you just have the first 7 days. I'm like, okay, it's not working. That's why I said, I thought to them that sometimes it doesn't pick up as fast as you expect. So when there's another flow, you were like, oh, that should have been my spot.
So I just want to look, maybe if I give it, if I come
could
back.
have worked. Well, I have this one right beside me. I have Jato right beside me. But if I had tried with Bebelino, maybe. Yeah, so from the beginning it was the maybe uncertainty, a bit of regret. I could have tried and have my space and had my chance for a little bit. And so obviously once it happened to women, they just want to knock it a bit and see if they could, But I think Grace was firm. She just got hold of it and then whatever, I'm ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, but it sort of had a bit of a... So Bebelino and Sandra sort of had an interesting fallout. So it went from starry eyes in the beginning to sort of, I'm happy to walk away from you and find someone else very quickly. And that's how it sort of started off. Well, Grace is nice, Pepperino is nice, and then that sort of started what has been one of the most interesting ships in the PmXtra house in general. Now, Counselor, let me come to you quickly on how they sort of moved on. And it almost seemed like quite fast to some extent. Jato quickly moved on from Grace and Pepperino set it off very quickly. Is that to be expected, or perhaps sometimes these things are a little too fast and maybe you now have regrets sitting down? In the case of maybe the first party as against Grace and Velino.
Well, I think that it was so fast because they just wanted to shut doors that they never experienced what was in. Like, well, if it's not working, I'm moving on. But sometimes you got to nurture it, open it again and again, and then you get it straight. But they both were, and I'm just watching their faces when they were saying, like, Grace is nice, I think I can move on with
Yeah.
her. And then we asked Sandra, are you okay? And just like asking somebody, would you marry me? Instead of saying, yes, I do, the person say, yeah, I do. There's a vast difference between saying, yes, I do, and yeah, I do. So in the yeah, it's like, yeah, I want to do it, but, you know, there's a but behind the yeah. But a yes, I want to means I'm good. I'm going for this. So their first quick swish was not well calculated. It wasn't well calculated. It was just like, I'm just going to let this person know that I'm moving on. And if you don't want me, somebody else want me. Before they fell into other hands and they realized that the picture is quite becoming perfect, it was like, see, if we had given ourselves time, it happens that people move on really quick because they want to prove a point to the other person that if you don't want me, somebody else want me.
Okay, that's interesting. Now, in comes extra twists and turns, new housemates, interesting dynamics, and that sort of started to unfold all over. Now, Kamala, seeing the new twists and turns as they came, throwing in new housemates in the second week, and then seeing those developments going on, people, our first evicted housemates now coming through. What were your initial thoughts when you saw the new housemates dynamic?
So let me speak about when Brownie came to the house. I mean, it didn't take up to 2 hours for her to start having conversations with the Benino, and he was feeding her. I was surprised. It took me by surprise. I was like, oh no, that was too fast. But he explained later on, subsequently, that perhaps that gap was created because Grace hadn't given him attention because of a certain issue they had.
Did you believe it?
I did not, because I thought he was, in retrospect, trying to correct what had gone wrong. And also in the correction of that wrong, he should have been all out and open to Grace later on about all he did, but he did not. He just basically said, I messed up and forgive me, blah, blah, blah. But I thought that he should have used that opportunity to say everything that he did, so that when Grace sees the videos as she saw here, should not have been as surprised as she was and as disappointed as she was.
Oh, she shouldn't have been.
Well, she was disappointed.
She was, yes.
Yes, everybody would have been disappointed.
Truly.
Because this is a man you're trying to build something with.
Only to find out.
Only to find out. I mean, she had suspicions, but she had not seen stuff for herself, the hugging, you know, the feeding and stuff like that. So she was disappointed, and she made it clear to him subsequently. He apologized. But I thought that he should have been upfront with her so he gains her trust more. You get what I'm saying? So you say everything at once.
Okay.
Because she'll find out eventually anyway. So why don't you just say it when there's an opportunity for her to forgive you immediately?
But if you do it in doses, isn't it better?
Sometimes it may get too late. She may change her mind, because she subsequently also made us understand that she took certain decisions because she was angry. She could have taken some decisions in that moment. It would have changed everything.
That's true. So it was the Brownie dine, and the way she was able to shake the Galino ship.
And how quickly she did it.
Yeah.
But in the end, it didn't work out for her, and even her second coming has been as disastrous as the first.
Do you think if she had pushed a little bit more in the first one,
She
like
would
if she had succeeded in, it almost seemed as if she was a bit more laid back. She tried I think in the first few days it was very aggressive, and then sort of laid back.
Yes, I guess because Grace confronted her that she didn't want to have her speak to her man, and so I heard her having conversations later that, because Bebelino and Grace had spoken to her, she didn't want to shake it so much, and she would later say that Bebelino had told her stuff, which we are yet to hear on camera.
Yeah.
But then she created the impression that, oh, because I've been spoken to, I don't want to push this so hard. She even told Biggie that it looks like Grace and Bebelino are so good together that she doesn't want to come between them. But Biggie said, but it's your assignment. If you fail at it,
Honestly,
you're going home.
and she would have literally gone home,
Yeah.
and what she did. But let me bring Malice into the conversation. Like, which new housemate shook you?
All right, so I will start off. The addition of new housemates is a twist we never thought we needed.
Yeah, until
Big
it
Mama
came.
actually surprised us on that because I think that day we were done with the show and
Yes.
it was halted for the. But I think the new housemate that actually shook things up is Brownie. Because after the show, 10 p.m., they got into the house. By 12, Bebelino was all over Brownie.
Yeah.
And Brownie was like, get the assignment done quickly. And I was feeling pity, or I was feeling sad for
Great.
Bibi. Because Sasha.
Yeah.
But Sasha is not like a backing vocalist to Brownie. To Brownie, yes.
Yeah.
And I feel like she actually did destroy some things about the Galileo
But
shit.
did she make it stronger? Because at that point in time, after she sort of rocked it a little, they seemed to get even into.
I think even before she came to the house, Bebelino and Grace had a little bit of tension. They were not in talking terms with each other.
Yeah.
So I think introduction of Brownie actually, I don't know, we need to sit up. So I think they began talking to each other and the pair became very much stronger. And they gave assurances to each other, we are not going to let anyone. That is after Bebelino made certain promises to Brownie in the house, on camera and off camera.
Well, I'll come to Kuko in a bit, but I want to hear from you, Reverend Ada. With the introduction of new housemates to sort of shake the ships, do you think it's strengthening? In my opinion, I think some of them came out better because they had their relationship tested a little. But is that the general observation for you?
I think that it wasn't strengthening or weakening, it was awakening.
Okay.
We get too reluctant in relationship, like, okay, this person's going nowhere. We're stuck with each other. We're going to fight and come back at any other time. But the very day you wake up and know that, you got competition, and the competition is hot and it's coming with a certain kind of force, you go back to your textbook and then you fix what it is. And so I think that was it for me. Big Mama bringing new people was not to break or strengthen, but to awaken the whole love vibe because they were so conversant and they were just relaxed. I mean, it's just us. And it was a good thing for me. If other people are watching, I think that's the message. You never get comfortable.
Never get comfortable.
No, never get
Kuko,
comfortable.
which housemate or new housemate was your favorite?
Brownie. And
Really?
I agree with Counselor.
Counselor?
I think when Brownie tried, that made Grace and Bebelino step up their game. I'm sure in their mind, if I don't do this, Brownie is going to take my position, and I don't want to lose this. So I think I'll agree with Counselor. Brownie tried, but in life, if something is meant to be, whatever you do, it will never break. That's me.
Not only did Brownie sort of shake things, Bibi also had her fair share of a bit of shaking. Initially, as soon as she even was introduced on stage and then mentioned Kodak, Bella was already on edge. And we've seen that tension sort of follow through even to her coming back again and seeing that succession even up until a few days ago where they had a big blow up, which we will be discussing tomorrow on the show. But it's been quite interesting to see how she also had an interesting thing with Etonam at a point, sort of made Loveling jealous. Like, I think she needs an honorable mention, honestly.
Even before we got here,
Yeah.
there was a conversation between Loveling and Brownie about Bibi. Because yesterday during the party, when Bibi was tipsy, she was dancing with Etonam and they almost kissed. And I saw how Loveling was staring at Etonam at that particular moment. So I knew Loveling was going to raise this issue. It was just a matter of time. So today I heard her speak to Brownie about it, that she didn't like how Etonam had gone past the boundaries they'd set for themselves, with Bibi in particular. And a few hours ago, they were having a conversation, Etonam, Bebelino, Grace, and Bibi together in the kitchen while they were preparing jollof. And Etonam was making the point that if he laughed Bibi, nothing stops him from telling her that he loves her. But the fact is, he's sticking to Loveling. So he doesn't know why maybe Brownie and all these other people are creating the impression that he has a thing for Bibi, which is making Loveling jealous.
But sometimes it's not about you, the words you say, but sometimes your actions.
I get
because
it.
too many times he's been found a little too cozy with
Especially
Bibi.
during the parties. Yes,
It's
even
almost
last week.
he gravitates towards her. It's almost like if I had the option, Anka, but because I have sort of publicly made this commitment to this woman, love, which being Loveling,
Yeah.
that's why I can't pursue it in a different way.
Well, that's also a possibility. But I think that as they are in that house, people are able to make their feelings known to people. I mean, there's nothing wrong if I told you that I liked you as a sister or I liked you, but because of Loveling, I want to stick with her. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's a compliment, really. But if it goes beyond that to having, flings, like, doing things, steamy things, then we will be worried. But once it didn't get to that stage, I think that even though it shook that ship, the Etoling ship, and it's still shaking the ship till this particular
Yeah.
moment, I think Etoling is still pretty much resolute.
Bibi, I have to ask you about that. Like Malice, I have to ask you about Bibi right now. Like, what were your general thoughts about her, how she acted, and how she was able to sort of put fire not only under Bella, under Loveling, but sort of shake a few of the gentlemen as well?
Bibi coming to the house, right from stage, we knew there was trouble because of Kodak. And I know they have a history, they have history together, but she coming to the house, we knew there was going to be drama. And she didn't fail to give us the drama. There was tension, she caused friction between the Kobela ship. We all saw
Of course.
how it transpired. Then she left and came back into the house. This time, not for Kodak, but for Bella. We saw how it unfolded yesterday. But yes, I think even with Loveling, concerning whether Etonam loves Bibi or not, Loveling said to Big Mama that at the party, she doesn't care if Etonam dances with anyone. So I don't see the sudden change that she has boundaries or they have boundaries. Etonam, she didn't dance with anyone at the party. I don't just get it. I feel like right now she's feeling threatened. And any little thing, her position could shift.
Interesting. Kukwa, your thoughts on the dynamics between the Etonam, the Bibis, and then all those dramas in between?
Well, I still don't get it why Etonam and Labi are still having problems with Bibi. You guys make a great couple. If Bibi has tried, you know what you've been through, you know the boundaries you guys have set up. You shouldn't be disturbed. If you really know that this guy is into you, and you know, what's his name, Etonam is into you, or Loveling is into you, you shouldn't be scared. That's how I felt. And Bibi going to Kodak and Bella, I still don't know why Bibi has issues with Bella. I feel Bella has been cool. She only talks when you step on her. So,
Oh, really?
Yeah,
So you think
that's
she's
how I see it.
misunderstood?
Yeah, that's how I see it. I see it. Bella is cool. She's like in everyone's business, yes. But then you step on her, they should show you who she is. So if Bibi pulls back, she'll pull back.
Okay.
That's how I see it.
Who's the most misunderstood housemate? Past or present?
Past or present, most misunderstood.
Like the one that clearly us, the viewers, didn't understand where they were coming from.
I think I'll mention two.
Okay.
I think Grace. Grace has been misunderstood since the inception of the show, and also Jato somehow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Counselor, who do you think is the most misunderstood?
I guess I have to pass.
You
I
pass
have
on
to
this.
pass. I have to pass on this one.
You're allowed
Somebody
to.
else.
You're allowed to. Welcome, who do you think is the most
I will
misunderstood?
also mention to Sandra and Grace.
Really?
Yes, Sandra and Grace.
And you, Kukwa?
It'll be Bella and Grace.
Why? Okay, all three of you mentioned Grace as one of the possibly the most. Why? Come on.
So I guess she, from the beginning of the show, she had a problem expressing herself. She appeared to be, quote unquote, timid. And all these other loud voices around her almost always drowned her. So even when there's an issue and she has to speak up, you hear all these other voices, yelling and screaming, and she's almost always left in the center, and she could not even express herself. But in subsequent weeks or days, we found that when she got support, she became more vocal and she became more of herself. When it comes to Sandra also, after the recoupling and the truth or dare game that happened where all of that drama unfolded, you get the sense that she wanted Jato, but other people didn't understand why she wanted Jato and how the recoupling happened.
Okay.
And so you get the sense that at the least thing, there's a spark. And Sandra is always almost in the center of the conversation. Either she's speaking to Bella about somebody, or she's heard saying something about Grace, or she's saying something that is being misinterpreted in a certain way. So I think she's also, in a way, so far, one of the most misunderstood housemates, yes.
You think, Kukwa, you think Bella and Grace.
Grace.
Why Bella?
Bella, because she's loud, everyone thought like she was going to cause problems. But if you look at every episode, it's when she talks, it's because someone has done something to her. That was how we all saw it. She's very loud, yes, we know that. But she talks or get angry based on people's actions. So I always thought like we misunderstood her.
Okay, and why Grace?
Grace, like he said, in quote unquote, she was kind of timid.
And people took that for weakness.
Yeah, and I think there was an episode, Big Mama asked them to talk about their childhood, and she spoke about what happened when she was a kid. Then I realized that was what makes her keep quiet to certain things. You get it?
Okay.
So after sharing that, then she got support, and she started speaking up.
All righty.
Yeah.
Why, you chose Jato and Grace. Why Jato?
Jato, because at the center of everything that is happening, he was the one there. I mean, the recoupling. He was the one. And I felt like he was speaking from a man's perspective. Everybody kept on siding with the girls and leaving Jato out. When you follow commentary on social media, you realize that Jato is like the most bashed housemate.
Yeah.
And
You
I
think?
feel like, yes, I
Him?
think. When he
Okay.
was
in the house.
While he was in the house. And I feel like people didn't just understand where he was coming from.
Okay.
But Grace, too, I felt she also didn't have the voice because, of course, her past, and she made mention of her psychological issue. I felt like she doesn't want anything that would trigger that. So
To come
when you
yeah.
give it to her, she just...
She'll walk
but when
away.
Bibi came to support, right now she talks.
Okay. Now, you say Jato, up until when he was in the house, was probably the one that was most vilified on social media. But who do you think in the house presently is the one that the viewers really go ham on or are always coming for?
It's Bella.
Okay.
And I don't say this out of any personal bias, but if you look at the comments on Twitter, and especially following the back and forth with Bibi yesterday, everybody seems to think she got served yesterday because of how she had behaved from the start of the show up until yesterday. So I think she's the most,
Okay. What were your thoughts when you were seeing this unfold, Kamla?
So I would like to disagree with Kukwa that Bella always minds her business and only sparks up when someone steps on her toe. She's always in everybody's business. And she appears to be the loudest in the house. And from watching the show from the first week, it's like she is untouchable. And she arrogates to herself certain privileges and responsibilities that she's not supposed to. She's also as equal as everybody else. But she'll always be shouting and saying things about people, and then when they put it to her, she'll say she didn't say. So, for example, the clip we saw, she began by saying Bibi should go and get body enhancement creams.
Yeah.
And then Bibi retorted, and she is angry.
Yeah.
So I get a sense from what many people said on social media, she got what she deserved because up until now, nobody has been able to stand up to her and match up to her when she's literally bullying other housemates.
You think she's a bully?
She's been doing that.
Okay.
There have been several instances.
So she has no moral right to now call Bibi a bully?
Well, yeah, basically.
Okay.
If you've followed the show from the beginning and you've seen all these instances of where she's attacking either Grace or she's yelling at somebody or Bebelino, you know, it's like she's a class prefect and everybody else must listen to her and follow her rules, which Big Mama says everybody is allowed to do anything they want to do, provided they are within the law.
Okay. You agree, Miles?
Yes, I agree. And I think Bibi and Bella, their issue was just a bomb waiting for time to explode. Bella said yesterday, she doesn't body shame. But when we look at previous clips, we've seen what Bella does, calling people's legs as chopsticks and all the rest. And even moments before this, she called Bibi to use body enhancement. And I was just like, I mean, we've been waiting for this day for so long. We just wait for someone to actually point out to her that this is what she's been doing in the house. And I think Bibi over-delivered.
Hey, wow.
Violence headquarters.
Kukwa, they're now stating that according to the gentleman, Bella finally got what she deserved because she's been putting her nose in businesses that don't belong to her for a while, and finally someone put her in her place. But you feel she only comes when you call for her.
Yes, but last night she deserved whatever
Oh,
she
you
got.
agree?
So no comments.
But Reverend Ada, like, a lot of times when the fight happen, sometimes one person accuses the other of bullying. Some people don't hold back with the insults in some regard. And we've even seen that some, if not for cameras, might probably have even gotten to paths that may not necessarily be acceptable. When you see how the drama or the confrontations are unleashed in the house, what are your observations on that?
Really, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised because of their personalities. And I knew sooner or later it's going to happen. But how and when it was going to happen, I didn't know. I was just finger crossed. And so when I saw it from the beginning, I just said, well, let's put on our belt. I was expecting housemates to stop it from at a certain point. But everybody was cool and was like, almost like everybody was like, okay, this should go down. Until it went up to the roof. And that was at the mention of Coda. And that is it for Bella. Deal with her, tell her whatever you want to tell her. But at the mention of Coda,
She goes ham.
she goes, yes.
Don't say anything you want, but don't put Kodak's name in your
And
mouth.
as if Kodak is a ghost. He just appeared at the mention of Kodak.
Kodak was behind
Right.
the stairs listening to everything.
Right.
Waiting to walk in.
Right at the time that indeed there should be a stop. And amazingly, Ohineba that was sitting all this while, whether focusing on his rise and never, all of a sudden, all these guys are around the scene. And so from the counselor's seat, it's so expected. But I was just hoping that it doesn't go beyond a certain level, like they can put a stop to themselves. Their personality cannot be roof. Both personality cannot be roof for a long time. It can't happen because both have trait of leadership. None have a trait of submission. You know, they both, Bibi in her own world want to rule. And Bella
has exerted herself as the
One
ruler.
rule. So once a ship can have two captains, both can't be roof at the same time. So I have been waiting for this. In my own small way, I have been waiting for this to happen to say, okay, this note was right.
And finally.
I'm so right on this point
Yeah.
that this is going to happen. So when
Yeah.
it started, I'm like, okay, get me my notebook. This is a check for me.
But
It's not over though.
I think it's far from it because there are quite a few things to unpack. And I'm pretty sure tomorrow, and of course, do not miss tomorrow's live show at 8 p.m. because the housemates will be joining me and then we'll get into all those details and more.